I feel like when you start finding yourself in the same situations, in the same scenarios, it's simply because you keep making the same decisions, and that's why you keep falling into the same cycles and the same patterns. When you make promises to yourself and then you don't keep them, it's like the trust that you once had for yourself, or the trust that you're trying to build with yourself, is just non-existent. To be completely transparent, it's like I find myself in, and I'm just speaking freely, I'm just really just talking right now, but anyways, it's like I find myself in the space where I'm like, where I feel like I'm in a position to really pour into myself and nurture myself, I guess you could say. But then something comes up and I don't feel it anymore. I was talking to my therapist. Long story short, I was talking to my therapist and I was telling her about a situation that had popped up in my life not too long ago. And it popped up right when I was like really just, hitting the ground, like running. Like I was taking care of everything. I was basically building and trying to really find a routine that was fit for me, that was also healthy for me and beneficial. But then a situation popped up and I kind of just fell off all the way, right? Basically, she was saying that when things happen in life, like confrontation, some type of conflict or some type of setback, anything, right? When those things pop up, we all have our different ways of coping with it. Some people fight, some people flight, and then some people freeze. And I just learned that I'm a freezer. Like I freeze. So basically, when I was like really just on it, I was eating well. I was just doing all the things that I really wanted to do, right? But then this situation happened, and then I froze. Meaning, I kind of just stopped doing what it. I kind of stopped doing what it. Fuck. What am I trying to say? Basically, I stopped doing the things that I wanted to do altogether, right? Working out, eating right, like making sure that I'm creating more than I'm consuming, all that good stuff. And of course, when you freeze, you don't necessarily, I don't want to say you necessarily set yourself back, but you just stay in one place. Because it's like you freeze. So you're not moving forward, but you're not moving backwards. You're just in place. And I'm trying to learn to make a different choice, I guess, in the future when something like that pops up, because I also find that the moment I freeze, it takes me a while to like get back into doing whatever it is that I want to do. I find that it takes me a while to bounce back and fall back into my routine. And I'm not saying like just normal routine, like, showering, brushing teeth, stuff like that. I'm saying like as a person who is trying to get back into like, working out and eating well and, reading more books. Which, by the way, I just started this book, y'all, and I got like 20 more pages, probably 30 more pages left. Let me see. I'm on page 102, and it is, oh, okay, I lied. I got 40 more pages left. But I just started reading this book. But long story short, like all the things that I'm trying to do on a daily basis to make sure I pour into my mind, and also keep my body healthy and also keep myself aligned spiritually, I find that when something pops up, I decide to just halt, like put all of that to a stop and just kind of fall back into my comfort zone, which is scrolling on TikTok all damn day, pulling up to Popeyes, Chipotle, Wingstop. While I think it is important to have your days or allow yourself to have moments where you just comfort yourself in the best way that you can, meaning like you just do whatever like feels good for you. Like let's just say you've been having a rough week all week and it's like, okay, you know what, I really do just want like a really good meal from my favorite restaurant. I want to go home, watch my favorite TV show. Yeah, I don't want to think about nothing else. Like I got through the week and that's that. I feel like it's important to have those type of moments, but also too, it's important to know when to get your ass up and get back to it. And I find that it takes me too long to get my ass up and get back to it. Lessen the time frame of me like having a moment, freezing, and then finally getting the courage to get back up and start all over again. I feel like that time frame is too, it lasts for way too long and longer than it should. So I'm trying to learn to shorten it. I feel like I've talked about like routine a lot in the past, like routine. And I think it's because of these Virgo placements. Y'all know I love my astrology, but like, I think it's because these damn Virgo placements I got, and I'm like, I need structure. And I feel like everybody needs structure, everybody needs routine, but I feel like sometimes it's hard. Fuck it, I'm gonna be honest. As somebody who had absolutely no routine, trying to go to routine is very tough. And I've been struggling with this shit for the longest, like for years. Because it's like, you can't go from having absolutely no type of routine, structure, balance to trying to place yourself in this rigid ass, like, you know, schedule of, okay, I'm gonna get up at this time and do this at this time. And you know, you know what I'm saying. But I'm trying to learn like what really works for me and what really doesn't. And I feel like every time I get to the point where I'm like, okay, it's working, something pop up. And then I get into that freeze mode and I'm like, fuck, it was working and now I gotta freeze again. So maybe this is just me realizing that maybe it's time to stop like freezing and time to pick another option. And I'm glad I said that because it takes me to the next point. Hold on, I'm trying to get my blanket right. Y'all like my blanket? I got it from Burlington. Yeah. No, but I'm trying to take myself to the next point. And my next point is I feel like when you start finding yourself in the same situations, in the same scenarios, it's simply because you keep making the same decisions. And that's why you keep falling into the same cycles and the same patterns. So it's your responsibility to interrupt that pattern. So clearly I'm saying, like, I know for a fact that when something pops up, I freeze. And freezing does not work for me because it takes me too long to bounce back. And by the time I bounce back, it's like, damn, okay, washing machine do too much. But it's like as soon as I bounce back, it's like, okay, what did I miss? I gotta catch back in. I gotta catch up. I gotta do all these extra things. And it's like I don't want to freeze for too long, or I just don't want to really freeze at all. I want to be able to keep going. So yeah, I feel like when you find yourself in the same situations, in the same cycles, you have to make a different choice. And sometimes the choice, not even sometimes, majority of the times, the choice is going to be the most uncomfortable thing that you have ever done, because your comfort zone has been being in those cycles. Because no, it may not be the healthiest for you, it might not be the best thing for you, but you know what to expect. And I think that we as people, we want to be in control so bad, and we like to know what is coming and exactly what to expect, that when it's time to make a different choice and do something outside of our comfort zone, we kind of panic because we don't know what's gonna come next. But as a person who has interrupted a lot of her own patterns, I still have some patterns that I fall into, clearly talking about it in the video. But as a person who has interrupted a lot of my own patterns, I have to say that making a different decision is really not as scary as we be like making it seem like. It's just uncomfortable, but it's not scary, and it's really not nothing to fear. It's just basically almost like just going in a different direction, taking a different path, just making a different choice. That's all it is. On a light, you know what, also too, I feel like we as people struggle with making a newer decision or a different decision because we struggle with self-trust, which I mentioned earlier in the video. It's like sometimes we don't trust that we will make the right decision, or we get so hung up on making a wrong decision and then fearing the consequences that will come with making the wrong decision. We just don't believe in ourselves enough to trust that we can bounce back no matter the decision that we made, no matter if it is the best decision or not really the best decision for us. Regardless, we are capable of bouncing back. These eyebrows need to be brushed. Hold on. And also too, when you start making new choices and you start choosing to do different things or to do things differently, you have to be a different person as well. You can't be the same person that you were. And that's another thing, because when you talk about being in your comfort zone and just being used to doing the same things over and over again, the thought of the thought of becoming a new person is like, but wait. I know for me personally, when I started making better decisions, different decisions, so that I can interrupt all of the, unhealthy patterns and to stop the unhealthy behaviors and relationships in my life, I was very aware of this new person that I was becoming. But sometimes you get so caught up in people's memory of that old version of you, and them always recalling that memory and always bringing up old things that you've done and said in X, Y, and Z. Sometimes you feel like, not necessarily you deal with imposter syndrome, but it's almost like you struggle with your identity, because it's like, I know that I'm becoming a new person, but the people around me can't seem to shake that old version of me, right? But it's like, that's their fault. You can't force people to see you, to see the new version of you, if they can't even see a different version of themselves. That's one. And you can only expect people to meet you as deeply as they've met themselves, or to understand you on the same level that they understand themselves. And a lot of people, especially the ones who are not really accepting of like change, and they just want to stay the same, and they also want you to stay the same, those aren't the people who are going to understand where you coming from and where you're going in life. So, but I feel like even those slight fears or uncomfortable moments of becoming a new person, it's just not a good enough reason for you not to become the person that you need to be. It's just excuses. It's just made up reasons. Choosing differently is how you interrupt. It's how you interrupt patterns. You have to make a different choice. So I kind of want to give an example, because I just like I like to make everything like personable, so it's easier to like digest or just understand. But how can I say this? Okay, perfect example. At the job I work at, I guess I normally would consider myself a bit of an introvert, but when I think of it, I don't even think I'm introverted for real. I think I'm just a reserved person, or I think past situations caused me to like label myself as an introvert, because it's safer for me to like sit in the background and be quiet and not really talk to anybody, versus putting myself out there, because if I put myself out there, then I'm open to judgment and criticism, and people seeing me being vulnerable and things like that. So long story short, at my job, I would like to think that I was a very quiet, reserved, introverted person, which I kind of still am. But lately I found myself stepping outside of my comfort zone, because I've been put in a position where I have to interact with majority of my coworkers. At first, I really didn't have to. I really just had to talk to my managers. But now I'm kind of moving up, so I have to like take on that role temporarily, and now I have to talk to the whole team. Not like in a meeting type of setting, but I have to communicate with everybody almost every day on a daily basis. And at first, when I was doing it, it was very, very uncomfortable. And I automatically was like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to go back to what I've been doing, which is being in the background, not talking to nobody, not being seen by anybody, because that means that my anxiety won't flare up. I don't have to, feel nervous when I'm talking to people, and, etc. But I know for me personally, even as someone who finds it very listen, stepping outside of your comfort zone is uncomfortable. That's the point. Like, it's very uncomfortable. But I don't like to be stagnant. I don't like to be in the same place. I do not like to be in the same place. And if I know that I am in need of growth and change and evolution, then I need to step outside of my comfort zone. So long story short, when I was put in that position temporarily, this was back in November, and I immediately told my boss, I was like, no, I don't want to do it. 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 And I went back to my comfort zone. But now, long story short, people have been leaving and quitting and all these extra things. So they kind of need help. So I offered to help, not because I'm like, I want to get it to try again, but because I was one of the ones who were trained to be able to help in situations like this. And so when you out of staff and you need somebody to step up, I was trained for it. So it was like, it's time for me to step up, right? And so now I've been put back in this position in February. Now it's March. So ain't no telling how long I'm gonna be in this temporary position. But it's like I made the choice to just be like, okay, I'm about to step outside of my comfort zone, and instead of looking at it as, oh my God, it's scary. It's like the big bad team is gonna be looking at me and depending on me. I'm choosing to look at it like I guess from a more of an excitement type of point of view, and also just like a learning moment. You know, I'm taking this opportunity to like learn about myself, about myself, and also learn about the other people that I work with. And I'm just taking it, you know, day by day. It's only been a week since I've been back in the position, and it ain't been a bad week. I ain't really like thought too much about it, but I noticed a difference because back in November when I first got into the position, y'all, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but I have been someone who suffered from anxiety, but it hasn't been as bad in the last 2 years. I haven't really felt anxiety like that. But when I was put in that position, that anxiety snuck up on me, y'all. And when my anxiety sneaks up, I get into that freeze mode. And when I get into my freeze mode, I don't do shit. When I say I don't do anything, like, of course I do natural everyday things, but it becomes harder to do. Like, it becomes harder to eat. You struggle with sleeping, like things like that. But fast forward to now, I guess not only did I decide to make a different choice, but I also decided to shift my mindset, which this book teaches us to shift our mindset. But anyways, now that I choose to look at it differently, I don't have the same effects. Now I'm sleeping like a baby, and I'm eating a little bit too much. I just had a catfish basket, and I just said I was gonna eat healthier, but the catfish basket was, and I had some fries with it and some ribs. What is wrong with me? But anyways, that's besides the point. But what I'm saying was, now that I decided to make a different choice, because I know that I was craving growth, and I needed growth, and I needed, you know, that personal evolution, and I needed to step outside of my comfort zone to get that. Once I made the choice to do that again, the results are just different, or like the effects are different. I can't explain it, but basically I don't feel as anxious as I did, or I guess I shifted that anxiousness into excitement, which I talked about in a past video. Check it out. And also too, I can also discuss, like, when it comes to relationships, especially friendships and things, like I've been making a lot of new connections in the past year. And one of the things that I know that I have picked up on versus what I lacked in the past was communication. And I feel like we can all work on communication, but I don't think people really realize how important communication is when it comes to relationships and friendships and business and etc. A simple conversation, a 2-minute conversation, can change the dynamic of a relationship like that. You know, and also the lack of communication can change the dynamic of a relationship. It really just depends. But because I've learned that, and I've learned from my past mistakes and my past situations, and I've decided to make a different choice in these situations, because I know that it's important to nurture these relationships and really pour into these relationships, and also be present in these friendships and things. It's like, okay, I'm also seeing a different side of me, but I'm also getting different results because I'm actually putting into play all of this work that I've been really working on. I'm really, you know, implementing all of these things that I felt like I lacked in the past. So when it comes to just like interrupting like different patterns, it's easy to fall back into the pattern, because that's like all we knew is our old patterns. But what I also did want to say is it's important to not really beat yourself up when you find yourself falling back into your comfort zone, because you have to remember, like, for one, this our first time on this damn earth. We don't know damn know what's going on. That's one. But the second thing is, when you stepping outside of your comfort zone, of course you don't know what to expect. So sometimes you might want to take a step back. Sometimes it's like, okay, I don't know. You know, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to get up on that stage. I don't know if I want to post that video. I don't know if I want to, you know what I'm saying, really like put my art on display. I don't know if I want to do that. But, you know, once you learn to give yourself grace, but also learn to talk yourself up and to encourage yourself, you're able to really step into it with a different mindset. It's no longer a mindset of like fear and, oh, what if this happens? What if the bad things happens, and negativity? It's like, you know what? I'm really just doing this for me, and I don't give a fuck what happens. If I get $1 million, that's great. If I gain 1,000 followers, that's great. But bottom line, I'm doing this because this is something that I want to do, and it's fulfilling me, and it's fulfilling my inner child, or whatever the case is, etc. But I think it's very important that we interrupt, that we just make different choices. And I'm learning that as the days go by. I've learned a lot, but you know, every day is a learning. Every single day you learn something. You're never not going to be learning nothing. And I feel like when you get to a point in your life where you feel like you can't be told nothing, you can't be taught nothing, get away from me, because I ain't in the mood. I ain't in the mood. I'm never not open to like receiving and learning and just picking up on new ways of living and new habits, especially if it's going to benefit me. So I feel like when it comes to life in general, every single day is a learning experience. I think life itself is just a teacher, and we are the students, and what we pick up is what we pick up. And if we choose to apply it to our lives in the future, that's our choice. And if we choose not to, that's our choice too. So yeah, y'all, I didn't really have no notes for this. I'm looking at my phone, but it's not for my notes. I kind of just started speaking freely because this has been on my mind for the past week or so. Not even a week, probably the last month. But yeah, y'all, I just was really just ranting. I wasn't even really like prepared or planned this. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.